Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Let's move forward to Hadith number 68. And the version that I'm reading from in the original Arabic language is one number off from the translation of Darus Salam. So if you're reading the Darus Salam translation, then you're going to be reading Hadith number 69. Hadith number 69, but with our numbering, is Hadith number 68. Khairan inshaAllah ta'ala. So the Hadith states, the author, Hafiz bin Hajar, may Allah have mercy upon him, he says, وعن عائشة رضي الله عنها أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من أصابه قيء أو رعاف أو قلس أو مذي فلينصرف فليتوضأ ثم ليبني على صلاته وهو في ذلك لا يتكلم. أخرجه ابن ماجه وضاعفه أحمد وغيره. Narrated Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, whoever vomits, bleeds through the nose, or releases medhi, urethral discharge, preseminal fluid, should go perform ablution and then complete his salah by continuing from where he had stopped at, on the condition that he does not speak in the process. Reported by Ibn Majah, and Ahmad and others graded it da'if. Once more, Hafiz bin Hajar says, وعن عائشة رضي الله عنها أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من أصابه قيء أو رعاف أو قلس أو مذي فلينصرف فليتوضأ ثم ليبني على صلاته وهو في ذلك لا يتكلم. أخرجه ابن ماجه وضعفه أحمد وغيره. Says whoever vomits, bleeds through the nose, suffers from nosebleed, or releases medhi, preseminal fluid, urethral fluid, discharge, should go perform ablution and then complete his prayer. He should finish his prayer where he left off, as long as he did not speak. As long as he didn't speak. Khairan inshaAllah. So hadith number 68, the main lesson from this hadith and the simplified understanding of this hadith, or before we go that far, said collected by Imam Ibn Majah, meaning in his Sunan. And Imam Ahmad and others said that the hadith was weak. Said the hadith was lacking validity with regards to its chain of narration. And also, one may criticize the metin of the hadith, the text, and say that the hadith is munkar. Hadith is rejected. The meaning is rejected. That if a person breaks his wudu in the salah, and then he can go, leave the prayer, walk, perform wudu, and come back and finish the prayer right where he left off. Whereas that is going to be contradictory to many other texts, authentic texts, concerning the obligation of performing the acts of worship in succession, in the proper time, in the proper motion, and not having a long lapse or pause between them. Okay, so to simplify things, the hadith is collected by Imam Ibn Majah and others in the Sunan, and Imam Ahmad and other scholars of Islam, other imams of hadith, they said that the hadith was weak. Tayyib. And obviously there's a discussion concerning why the hadith is weak. And there's also a discussion concerning, is a mursal hadith a proof or not? And the different madhahib, the different schools of thought. Can a person use a mursal hadith as a proof, as a hujjah? Alright, so what's the main lesson from this hadith? The main lesson of hadith are two to three. Point one is that these mentioned things break wudu. These things break wudu. That's the first point from this hadith. And obviously the scholars are going to, those who hold that view are going to use this hadith as a proof that nosebleed breaks wudu, that vomiting breaks wudu, that medhi, pre-seminal discharge or urethral discharge breaks wudu. Number two, they're going to say the main lesson from this hadith is that one is allowed to finish the prayer and complete the prayer right where he or she left off. Obviously, you have to make wudu, walking to the wudu station, the bathroom, standing in line, drying up. None of that is going to make you make salat from the beginning. Thirdly, is that that's only conditional. It's only with the condition is that a person did not talk. As far as if a person talked, where you going, Fulan? What happened? Why aren't you praying? Did they make the iqamah yet? Your phone rings. No, you can't talk. You have to make wudu and go right back. So those are the main dilalat of this hadith, the main fiqh points from this hadith. Khairan inshaAllah ta'ala. And obviously we said that the scholars, they differ on, is the hadith sound or not? Alright, khairan inshaAllah. San'ani, may Allah have mercy upon him, he goes on to discuss the points of difference, khilaf, among the different schools. والنقض بالقيء مذهب الهدوية والحنفية وشرطت الهدوية أن يكون من المعدة إذ لا يسمى قيئا إلا ما كان منها وأن يكون ملء الفم دفعة. Alright, so he talks about how some scholars hold the view that vomiting breaks wudu. Vomiting breaks wudu, such as the Hanafi school, the Hadawi school, and some scholars, they say that it has to come from deep within, from below, from one's belly, right? Not just like, a little bit of spit up, quote unquote, from the throat or something. But when someone actually like spits up, like vomits, your stomach is upset and you feel your stomach being pulled from within. You're on your knees leaning over the toilet seat and you're actually vomiting, hurling, as they say. Okay, he then mentions another madhab, وذهب جماعة من أهل البيت والشافعي ومالك إلى أن القيء غير ناقض لعدم ثبوت حديث عائشة هذا مرفوعا والأصل عدم النقض فلا يخرج عنه إلا بدليل قوي أو فلا يخرج عنه إلا بدليل قوي. And then some scholars, such as Shafi'i, Malik, different ulama from Ahl al-Bayt, they say that vomiting, spitting up doesn't break the wudu. It doesn't break the wudu. And the reason why the wudu is not broken is because the hadith is weak. And a weak hadith doesn't take the ruling from its default position, that wudu is sound until proven to be broken. Alright. He then says, وَأَمَّا الرُّعَافِ فِي نَقْضِهِ الْخِلَافُ أَيْضًا فمن قال بنقضه فهو عمل بهذا الحديث ومن قال بعدم نقضه فإنه عمل بالأصل ولم يرفع هذا الحديث. And as far as nosebleed, scholars, they differ as well. Those who say it does break wudu, they're going to use this hadith. And those who say that it doesn't break wudu, they're going to say that the default, the asl, is that wudu is sound until proven to be broken. وما الدم الخارج من أي موضع من البدن غير السبيلين فيأتي الكلام عليه في حديث أنس أنه صلى الله عليه وسلم احتجم وصلى ولم يتوضأ. And as far as blood that comes from a wound, a scratch or a cut, a wound from the body, blood that doesn't come from a person's private area, it doesn't come from your two privates, a man's penis, a woman's vagina, nor does it come from the anus. Any other type of blood that comes from your body, your finger, your knee, your leg, your toe, your lip, and obviously not talking about the nose, we're done speaking on that, then that will be explained later on when we talk about the narration of Anas, that the Prophet ﷺ performed hijama and then he offers salah without making wudu. When you pray and your hand starts bleeding, is your wudu broken? And do you have to make salah again? He says that discussion will come later on. وأما القالص وهو ما خرج من الحلق ملء الفم أو دونه وليس بقيء فإن عاد فهو القيء فالأكثر على أنه غير ناقض لعدم إلى آخره. And another word mentioned in hadith is qals, which is a type of spit up, but it's not like vomiting from deep down within, coming from the throat, as we said, filling the mouth. If a person regurgitates it, swallows it back, does that break the wudu or not? Okay. Many scholars say that it doesn't break the wudu. Most scholars, he says, because there's no sound proof for that. Wallahu ta'ala alam. There's khilaf as well. Most, and not all. وَالْمَذِيُّ فَتَقَدَّمَ الْكَلَامُ عَلَيْهِ وَأَنَهُ نَاقِضٌ إِجْمَاعًا. And then he says, as far as madhi, the preseminal fluid, or the urethral fluid, or discharge, and then we've explained that in detail already, and that it breaks wudu according to all of the scholars, he says. There's consensus that breaks wudu. And San'ani rahimahullah says, وَأَمَّا مَا أَفَادَهُ الْحَدِيثُ من البناء على الصلاة بعد الخروج منها وإعادة الوضوء حيث لم يتكلم ففيه خلاف. And as far as the last main point from the hadith, that a person is allowed to finish the prayer where they left off, finish where they stopped before they had suffered the nosebleed or the spit up or the vomit, etc. And the person doesn't have to start from the beginning, then there are different views on that as well. There's khilaf among the people of knowledge on that as well. فروي عن زيد بن علي والحنفية ومالك وقديم قول الشافعي أنه يبني ولا تفسد صلاته بشرط أن لا يفعل مفسدا كما أشار إليه الحديث بقوله إلا يتكلم أو لا يتكلم. He says here, the first view is narrated from Zayd ibn Ali and also the Hanafi school, Imam Malik, and the original opinion of Shafi'i is that a person is allowed to finish their prayer where they left off, and their prayer is still sound, is still valid. They can continue as long as they didn't do or say something that would break the prayer. As long as they didn't say or do something that would invalidate the prayer. As it states in the last part of the hadith, لا يتكلم وهو في ذلك لا يتكلم, without speaking, without talking. Obviously, intentionally speaking in a prayer is going to break the prayer, regardless of the different details concerning when you can and cannot speak in the prayer, if it's من مصلحة الصلاة, etc. وقالت الهادوية والناصر والشافعي في آخر قولي إن الحدث يفسد الصلاة لما سيأتي من حديث طلق بن علي إذا فسى أحدكم في الصلاة فلينصرف وليتوضأ وليعيد الصلاة رواه أبو داود ويأتي الكلام عليه. And another group of scholars, and is the last opinion of Shafi'i, the Hadouis, they say as well that when the wudu is broken, the salah is broken, period. You break your wudu, the salah is ruined. طيب, and a hadith will be mentioned soon. He says, San'ani, hadith states, narrated by Talq ibn Ali, if one of you passes wind while praying, he should go and perform wudu and repeat his prayer. That hadith is collected by Imam Abu Dawood, and it will be explained later, he says. So in brief, there are two views among the people of knowledge concerning this, and the safest thing to do, whether you say the most correct or not, but for sure, the safest thing to do is to make your prayer up. There's no doubt and there's no question about that. Is to make up the prayer. Make up the prayer. Khairan, inshallah. Obviously, you see some inconsistencies, or one may say consistencies, whereas some scholars say the hadith is weak, so therefore vomiting doesn't break wudu. But then they turn around and say that you can finish the prayer where you left off, but it's the same hadith. So either they're using different proofs for that, or it's contradiction. If the hadith is weak for vomiting doesn't break wudu, or nosebleed or anything else, whatever, but you're using the hadith to say that you can finish the prayer where you left off as long as you don't talk or do something that will break the wudu, that will break the salah. And how is that even possible? How is that even possible? أن لا يفعل مفسدا. How is that possible now? How is that possible? So if you have the nosebleed in a prayer, then what? You go out. How do you make wudu without doing something that will break the salah? How many steps do you take before you have the ability to make wudu? Are you going to turn away from the qibla, or is the wudu water right there and you keep facing the qibla? So you turn around, you turn your back towards the qibla, you take 15, 20, 30 steps, go down to where the water is, and then you walk back. How is your wudu not broken? How is your salat not broken? How does that make any sense? And in the prayer, if a person turned his back towards the qibla, that would be a mufsid. You would break your prayer. And if you took an abundance of steps, you will break your prayer. Rather, many of those scholars say you can't even take one step for sutra. So it doesn't make any sense now. If there are other proofs and evidence is being used, tayyib, maybe. But you can't say that one hadith is weak for one point, but sound for other points. So therefore, and Allah surely knows best, wallahu a'lam, the most correct view, wallahu ta'ala a'lam, and for sure the safest view is that if you break your wudu in the salah, make your salah from the beginning. And do not come back on the second raka'ah, just starting the third. La, make it from the beginning. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Hadith number 69. وعن جابر بن سمرة رضي الله عنه أن رجلا سأل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أتوضأ من لحوم الغنم قال إن شئت قال أتوضأ من لحوم الإبل قال نعم أخرجه مسلم. Alright, so we have the hadith of Jabir ibn Samurah, and it's hadith number 69, number 70 in the English translation. Narrated Jabir ibn Samurah, a man asked the Prophet ﷺ, should I perform ablution after eating mutton? He replied, if you wish so. He then asked, should I perform ablution after eating camel meat? He ﷺ said yes. Reported by Muslim. Once more, وعن جابر ابن سمورة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رجلا سأل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أتوضأ من لحوم الغنم قال إن شئت قال أتوضأ من لحوم الإبل قال نعم أخرجه Muslim. Narrated Jabir ibn Samurah, a man asked the Prophet ﷺ, should I perform wudu after eating mutton, the flesh, the meat of lamb, goat, sheep, ram, etc., mutton? He replied, if you wish so, and shi'ta, if you want to, but you don't have to. He then asked, should I perform ablution, wudu, after eating camel meat? He ﷺ said, Naam, yes. Yes. And the hadith is collected by Imam Muslim. Alright, so the main point of the hadith is clear, and that is eating mutton does not break wudu. And the second main point from the hadith is also clear, and that is eating the flesh of camel breaks wudu. Period. Before we get into the madhabs and what the scholars have said from the Salaf to the Khalaf, the earlier and later generations, the dilala fiqhiyya, the main point from the hadith was extracted organically is that mutton does not break your wudu, camel meat does. Tayyib. Obviously, there's a long argument and discussion concerning what's meant by camel meat that's cooked on fire, touched by fire, or camel meat, period. We've explained this before with regards to what's meant by this. Is it the meat itself, or is it anything which is touched by fire? And what's meant by touched by fire? Grilled, barbecued, on the spit, coals, Or is it meant boiled in a cauldron, an iron pot, on the stove, in the oven? Al-Muhim, camel meat, whether you eat it raw or cooked, soup, steak, bone, rib, loin, shank, etc., breaks the wudu based off of the hadith, the point from the hadith. And inshallah ta'ala, in the next classes, we'll go over and explain the detailed discussion. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam wa sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulih nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.